On all you brainiacs out there, it's week 12 of the NFL season, and it's only getting weirder as we go on. King of Trade Shane Palmer here, joined as always by Spitfire Lucas Parrish.
What's going on, guys?
And the chemist Jack McGrath.
Shane, how are we doing today?
Listen, we have a lot to talk about right now because the Broncos don't have a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
You can start their quote-unquote starting quarterback at your wide receiver position in Yahoo leagues.
Really?
And NFL.com, but not Yahoo.
Not ESPN.
Or not ESPN, sorry. Yahoo and NFL, you can start them in, not ESPN, which is strange, but
I know. That's really weird, but at the same time, is that an advantage? Is starting him an advantage as a wide receiver in Yahoo and NFL? I mean, is it, especially with how deep the wide receivers are?
I think this week it is. I think in most weeks you're going to say that's not, just because of how deep the wide receivers are. This week, I sent you guys a picture of my bench this week. There are so many players out that you can't trust at this point. You can't trust any Ravens wide receiver. Steelers wide receivers, I'm hesitant to put in my lineup. Can't put Adam Thielen in your lineup. Can't put Julio Jones in your lineup. There's so many guys right now that you just can't put in your lineup. Probably don't want to put T. Higgins in your lineup because he doesn't have Joe Burrow throwing to him this week. There are just so many guys who you really don't want to put in your lineup this week that maybe it's worth a flyer on Kendall Hinton. He was my boom of the week this week. I think he's got a really good shot to produce as the quarterback. He's going to get the touches. We talked about how there's guaranteed touches if you're a running back. There's definitely guaranteed touches if you're the quarterback. So that's why I'm not too upset putting Kendall Hinton in my lineup this week.
I don't know what the Broncos are going to do. Are they going to have him throw? I mean, you look at his stats from college. Obviously, I think he was the quarterback over at Wake Forest, but he didn't throw all that much. I mean, I think he had more than 2,000 passing yards. He had 8 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Like, those are not good college quarterback statistics. And now he's playing in the NFL. I don't think there's much upside, if any upside, through the air. Any Broncos pass catchers are not startable. I mean, the only one who I would consider putting in my lineup is Noah Fant, just because of the wasteland that tight ends are, and he will most likely get some targets. But even then, I mean, he's at best a mid-tier tight end too. I'm not starting. Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick are out of my top 55 wide receivers. They're not in a starting caliber tier for me. Noah Fant is if you have to, but only if you have to. I mean, guys like, I almost said Logan Thomas, he already played, but obviously guys like Dalton Schultz, if you have him on your waiver wire, Jordan Akins.
If he didn't play, that would be also a great pickup, but he already played against Logan. So you can't do that one either.
That's a good point. Neither one of those, but guys like Jordan Akins, I'd start over him. I mean,
Jordan Akins also didn't play. That would be a great start. Lucas,
oh my God.
Come on, wake up. It's Sunday.
Oh my gosh. This is
still got the turkey. He's in the turkey coma right now.
I am.
It went straight out of his brain. Oh my gosh.
I know. That's on me.
Would you like us to move us on so you don't say another tight end that's already played?
Please move us on. Okay. Let's move out of the past.
Let's answer some questions now, because we do have a decent amount of people in here wanting to see. Jeez, I see now I can't.
Now I got
you. All right, first question. Beasley or Juju, assuming the Steelers game is played? Well, you can't assume anything nowadays, and we can't answer this question with the assumption that the game is going to be played, because personally, I don't think this game is going to get played this week. I think they're going to have to find time week 18 or make a week 18 or do something else, because with the amount of tests that we're seeing both now on the Steelers side and the Ravens side, there's no way they can confidently have this game and say that it's not going to put other players and personnel at risk. I've moved them down. I've moved them down in my rankings slightly, but I know in my heart that they're probably not going to play, so that's why I've been telling people otherwise. I'm going to go Beasley on this one. Listen, John Brown is out. It's a great matchup for Beasley taking on that wide receiver 2 role. I think he's in for a pretty decent day anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Beasley here. What I'm doing with these guys is basically I'm saying is the risk worth the reward. So you basically have to treat them as high risk, high reward type of guys who can put up a 0 spot, put up a goose egg, but also can put up their normal production. So with that, Cole Beasley is a better option than the high risk, high reward, because now we drop their floor so low. I drop their floor so low when I'm evaluating these guys. And right now I think Cole Beasley is definitely the guy there. Those guys drop way down, but still, they're still startable at points. But right now, I think Cole Beasley's the option. That's there.
Even in half PPR, go with Beasley. Like the matchup. John Brown's out. Enough said.
All right, next question we got here. Sterling Shepard, Brian Hill, or Gus Edwards need a flex spot in PPR. I love the running back at flex. I've been hyping him up all week. Brian Hill has a fantastic matchup against the Raiders. Wasn't so high on Gurley this week, even though he had that matchup because he was dealing with that injury. Didn't know his status on if he was going to play or not. They limited him last week, and it was apparent by the touches he was getting. Now he's officially out. Brian Hill is going to be the starter. I know Ito Smith, I think, has equal goal line carries in terms of when it's matched up against Brian Hill, but I still expect Hill to be the guy, especially in PPR. He's going to catch the ball. At least I'd say he gets at least 4 receptions, which is great right there, just in your flex spot. I'd say 15 to 20 touches, definitely. So I'd go with Hill there.
I'll go with Hill too. I think he's the best option there. Edwards, obviously, it's the same kind of situation with the Ravens. And then Sterling Shepard's good, but Brian Hill's going to get so many touches.
Go Hill.
All right. Next question here. Is Ekeler startable this week? If not, should I start Evans, Gus, Bus, or Moss? I think he is. Listen, If he wasn't healthy enough, they wouldn't be playing him.
Yep, absolutely. Go with Ekeler. I've got him as a high-end RB2. I think he has the chance to be more than that as well. Ekeler is very, very startable this week.
I'll challenge that claim that if he's not healthy enough, they wouldn't be playing him. And it's only because Kalen Ballage is questionable this week. I think if Ballage was full good to go, maybe the Chargers are a little more lenient towards Austin Ekeler and don't need to run him out there right away. So I'm a little more hesitant on saying Eckler's a full good to go, especially coming off that hamstring injury. I was pretty tempted to put Ekeler and Ballage both in my busts of the week this week, just because I have a feeling neither of them is going to be fully healthy, and they give him a 50-50 split.
I don't think Ballage is playing, though. I think that...
Is he out officially now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
Ballage isn't playing.
It says Ballage is a game-time decision as of this morning, early this morning.
Not expected to play.
Not expected to play. Okay, so then if Ballage doesn't play, then Eckler's obviously the guy to go there. Just monitor his status up until game time, because you never know with that hamstring injury, it could come back.
Yep.
Moving on here, Cam Newton or Taysom Hill. Well, up until yesterday, I would say Taysom Hill. But with the way this game for the Saints and Broncos could go, I'm going to go with Cam Newton on this one. I think the Cardinals and Patriots game could be sneakily high scoring. I think Cam Newton's going to have to throw the ball. They're going to have to stay in this game, and he's going to run the ball as well. Taysom Hill didn't throw for a touchdown last week. Could happen this week, but if the Saints get up early just on the ground, I can see them just literally riding this game out. It's so tough to predict what you're going to get out of this game because we just don't know what Kendall Hinton is. But I think the Saints are going to dominate this one. I don't think Taysom Hill's going to have to do too much.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. You look at Newton's last 4 games production-wise, and we all wanted to ditch him after he got benched in week 7. But the last 4 games have been 18 fantasy points, 24 fantasy points, 17 fantasy points rounding up there, and 19 fantasy points. He's still been putting up consistent QB production. That's what you like to see out of that spot.
And Taysom Hill got, 26 last week? Taysom Hill, even with the Broncos game plan like it is, I still like Taysom Hill because you said if they get up early, they're going to ride it out. If they get up early, it's almost certainly going to be because Taysom Hill gets into the end zone somehow, some way, a couple times. That's why, and Taysom Hill, we saw last week he can throw the ball. He has yet to throw for a passing touchdown, which I think is coming. That's absolutely coming. With the way he was throwing the ball last week, it's coming. Plus, even if they are running the game clock out, even if they decide to go a run-heavy approach, Taysom Hill is going to get rush attempts, and I like that even more for Taysom Hill, honestly. No, I think Taysom Hill is the guy you got to go with. They're close in my rankings. I agree. I think Cam Newton's going to be solid. I just think Taysom Hill is going to be a little bit better.
Listen, if they're close, I think you have to lean Newton there because you just don't know what you're going to get out of that Saints game.
No.
Or not.
I still think Taysom Hill will be better.
Who gets the bench? Full PPR, Cooper Kupp, Cole Beasley, Ronald Jones, and Mike Williams.
Mike Williams. I feel like you have to go Mike
Jones, I think. I think that Bucs game, the Bucs running game has just been so inconsistent. It's been badly inconsistent. I think Ronald Jones does have a good game this week. Am I going to trust that over Mike Williams? Do I think there's a higher chance Mike Williams has a good game this week? Yeah, I do. Mike Williams, he's been boomer bust. I get that. I still like him over Ronald Jones. There's way too much inconsistency
Look,
going
they both been boom or bust, but I just think with the guaranteed touches Ronald Jones will get as a running back, and if he produces like he has at times this season, he will continue to get the ball. I think Ronald Jones has a higher chance to boom. Both could bust. Absolutely, both could bust. I just think Rojo has a higher chance to boom, which is why I would sit Mike Williams.
Leonard Fournette seemed to be – it was pretty equal last week. Leonard Fournette was right there with Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones had 10 carries. He did not have any catches. He only had 1 target last week. That's 2 fantasy points, 2.4 fantasy points. He only had 24 yards. I get it. He's had some really good games, but he's also had some really, really bad games. And Mike Williams – Ronald Jones is probably – he's gotten 25 points before. Mike Williams could get you a 30 spot, a 35 spot just based on how Herbert airs the ball out and how Williams is running downfield on every single play.
Yeah, I don't doubt any of that. I normally would say no, I'll stick with what I usually say. I think you're going to bench Mike Williams. I think it's extremely close. I like the argument that Jack was making because it is true. I think there's a chance Bills might also try to double team Keenan Allen and leave Mike Williams open a little bit more. But when you get the guaranteed touches like Ronald Jones does, and I think 12 to 15 is obviously in the realm of possibilities, and then do what you can with that, I'd probably go with Rojo there over Williams, but it's a very close margin. Next question here: Carson Wentz or Derek Carr? It's Carr for me. It's Carr 100% against that Falcons defense.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because obviously if Carson Wentz doesn't, I have these guys back to back. If Carson Wentz doesn't produce here, then you can drop him. I mean, he's going up against the Seahawks. At this point, honestly, I've got Carson Wentz 1 spot above Carr. I'm going to go with Wentz. It's such a good matchup. Carson Wentz has been good this season fantasy-wise. Obviously not real football-wise. Fantasy-wise, Carson Wentz has been good this season, which is why I'm going to go with Wentz. It's risky. Carr's a safer bet, but Wentz is definitely a higher swing. So it really depends on what you want. Do you want a guaranteed 15 to 20 points? Start with Carr. Do you want a guy who can get you 30 points? Go with Wentz.
Looking at that Eagles quarterback room at the moment, though, Jalen Hurts is supposed to get increased touches tonight, so he could be a factor too. And there's been talks. Doug Peterson is asked every single week for the past 3 weeks, are you going to bench Carson Wentz? And he said, no. But who knows after this week if Carson Wentz doesn't produce against the Seahawks defense, or if he starts off the game slowly and doesn't produce. Jalen Hurts could be the guy there for this week and maybe the week after if Carson Wentz isn't starting off strong. So that's why I'm thinking I'll go Derek Carr.
Very good chance that Carr does get benched. Carson Wentz gets benched there. So I don't want to take that full risk on. I was mentioning it in my booms or busts. My bust of the week is Josh Jacobs. Falcons have a very sneaky run defense, and if the Raiders are going to beat the Falcons today, I think it's going to be through the air, and I think that's going to be thanks to Derek Carr. Moving on now, love this question. Melvin Gordon or Frank Gore? Well, I have my bet with Lucas that Frank Gore is going to have over 100 rushing yards, and I don't know if Melvin Gordon's going to do that, so I'll stick with Frank Gore.
At this point, I would have probably said there's a solid case to be made for Frank Gore, but at this point, the ceiling of Melvin Gordon, out of the possibility of him running wildcat formations and basically getting the ball, the Denver having to run the ball on almost every single play because they don't have a quarterback, Melvin Gordon's touches could go through the roof this game. Yeah. So could Phillip Lindsay's, so could Kendall Hinton, so could Royce Freeman's. There's a ton of potential in this game. I love the ceiling there. I'll go with Gordon.
Yep, I agree. Go with Melvin Gordon.
I just think Frank Gore is, I don't know. I just don't.
Yeah, I get it. He's your guy.
Gordon are endless. Like you said, Jack, I mean, we could see a Melvin Gordon pass attempt. Who knows? Melvin Gordon there's so much that can happen. Melvin Gordon's going to get a lot of touches this game, one way or another, and they can happen in any way possible. Go with Melvin Gordon.
All right, let's start to move up here because we still have a lot of questions to answer. Kenyon Drake, Chris Godwin, Wayne Gallman, Tyler Boyd, Ronald Jones, Melvin Gordon, and Gus Edwards. Need one running back and one flex in standard league. If it's standard, I'm going to go 2 running backs here. I'll say Kenyon Drake and Wayne Gallman. Those are my 2 guys.
I like Gallman a lot this week, too. I think he's a good matchup. He has high end zone potential.
Yeah, those are solid. I like that. I'm probably going to go, Kenyon Drake and Melvin Gordon. Same reasons as before with Melvin Gordon. I think the possibilities are endless. I think he has the chance to get into the end zone 17 times. Maybe not that many, but the possibilities are endless with how many touches he's going to get and how he's going to get those touches in a game like this. I'm going to go Melvin Gordon and Kenyon Drake.
All right, next question. Brian Hill or Gio Bernard? I have Hill, 5 spots higher than Gio. Giants defense isn't the worst against the run. They're also not the best against the run. I just don't like how the Bengals are going to be playing from behind. I 100% guarantee that. So I don't know how much they're going to use Gio Bernard. We've seen when they've gotten down big in the past recently, they've tended to go with Samaje Perine, and they've left Gio on the sideline. So I don't know how much work Gio is going to get today. And again, Brian Hill, love the matchup, love the play.
Agree with you there. Nothing else to say. That Bengals offense always scares me a little bit. Now that they don't have Joe Burrow, it scares me a little bit more, especially with it scares me with the passing game, but it scares me with the ground game because once one fades out, the other will too. So I'll say Brian Hill as well.
Yep, I agree.
Should I start Breida over Snell in case Pittsburgh doesn't play? Do we know if Gaskin is active today? I haven't seen anything on him. I know he was.
Last report I read, it looked like he wasn't going to go. Let me double check and see if there's anything. He wasn't activated off of injured reserve in time, so he won't be going because he wasn't activated off injured reserve yesterday.
So as we've seen in the past, the Dolphins tend to stick with one running back for the game, and their guys that they have there are Patrick Lyard and Matt Breida. I'd have to think at this point it's going to be Matt Breida that's going to see the majority of the touches against the Jets. I don't know what Pittsburgh's going to do, even if they do play this game. I saw a lot of people picking up Anthony McFarland. They think this is going to be a running back by committee with Connor out now. So I'll go with Breida on this one.
Yep, I agree.
I'll go Breida too.
All right. Goddard or Ingram? I like Ingram's matchup against the Bengals, but I feel like it could make his usage less necessary. I think I'm going to go with Goddard on this one. I have them back-to-back actually at 5 and 6 in my rankings. Both have great matchups. I just think Goddard has the higher potential going up against Seattle. Ingram, though, like you said, it is a great matchup. He could get lost in the shuffle, though. A lot of weapons there for the Giants today.
Yep, I'd go with Goddard as well. I've got him number 3 in my rankings.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
All right, next question. I have Steelers defense, but don't want to risk it in a must-win. What defense should I stream? Minnesota, San Francisco, Buffalo, or Tennessee? Ooh, I hate defenses are so tricky because, you can hardly ever find the ones that'll get you the double-digit points. It's like rare. It's like two defenses a week that maybe get you double-digit. The rest you're lucky if they don't get you 0. Like you want more than 5.
I'm in the same exact situation in the league that me, Shane, and Lucas are in, where I have the Steelers defense. The Giants defense was on my waiver wire. I tried to pick them up. I didn't get them. So I think the Giants defense, if they're there, they're a sneaky play this week against the Bengals. Also look for them to see if they're there. Otherwise, it's based on scoring systems because defensive scoring systems are really different. There are too many teams with negative points or 1, 2, 3 points consistently, especially out of those teams there and in those matchups, that I can't trust any of those defenses in my lineups over the Steelers. It's the same thing I said before, where the Steelers, basically their defense, you have to look at them as having the same exact ceiling they had, but their floor from what it was drops to 0 because that's what it's at now. I think the Steelers defense is still a better play with a floor of 0 than any of those other plays just because of their potential, especially that they're going to be playing a second-string Ravens offense which is going to be led by Robert Griffin III. And now Mark Andrews is out. Basically, everybody's out in that offense. They're going to have to play against the backups there. And the Steelers' defense, as far as we know, is still fully healthy. So I think the Steelers' potential outweighs the risk there. I would still go with the Steelers. I know it's not the answer you were looking for, but I think that's the move.
Look, I think that every single defense, like Jack was saying there, that isn't the Steelers, has a chance to go into negatives, has a floor of negatives. The Steelers have a floor of 0 and their ceiling's higher. I can't disagree with Jack. Honestly, I'm happy if my defense doesn't go into negatives, and if you get 0 from the Steelers, at least it's not negatives.
All right, moving on here. Gio, Mostert, Wilkins, or Brian Hill, pick 3. I'll leave Wilkins out of that bunch. I think Nyheim Hines is going to get majority of the carries there today. Last time they played the Titans a few weeks ago, Nyheim Hines had like 27 points in PPR, so I expect it to be a Nyheim Hines game yet again. Jordan Wilkins will probably see 10-plus touches, but I don't think that'll amount to what you could get out of Gio, Mostert, and Hill.
Yeah.
Alrighty, next question here. Pick 3. Laviska Shenault, Tyler Boyd, Jacoby Myers, Mike Williams, Travis Fulgham. I'll go with Boyd, Williams, and Myers on this one.
Yep.
So the same exact 3. I like that.
Yep.
All right, next question. Hunter Henry or Dallas Goedert? I have Henry one spot higher than Goddard. I do, because I saw the production last week from Henry. Herbert's finally spreading the ball out more, which is why Keenan Allen was more involved than he's been all season. And Hunter Henry scored another touchdown. I'm going to go with Henry on this one. I really think Chargers-Bills is going to be the highest scoring game of today. Buffalo doesn't have as great as defense as people realize, and I think Henry finds the end zone again.
No, I think that's a solid thing. Again, I've got Goddard number 3. I think Goddard is going to have a huge game there against the Seahawks. If Carson Wentz is going to get back on track, it's going to be through Goddard, which is why I like Goddard so much this week.
I like Henry this week. He's only had 3 games this entire season where he's had under 7 targets. He's only had 2 games where he's had under 6 targets. The targets are there, and he's turning it into fantasy points. He's got a high floor, and he has a high ceiling. I'll go with Hunter Henry.
Next question here. AB or Jacoby Myers? You guys convinced me. I moved Antonio Brown up in my rankings. He's at 27 right now. Well, that's also with everything going on with players being ruled out and uncertain situations. But you got with the targets last week that Antonio Brown's the play.
You can't argue with 13 targets.
13 targets last week, 7 catches. He's the guy. Or was it 8 catches? It was a lot of catches. Antonio Brown, he's turning into the guy there in Tampa.
All right, next question. Am I starting Justin Jefferson over Michael Thomas with the Broncos situation? Other receiver is Diggs. Listen, last week people questioned if they should start Michael Thomas, and I made sure that everyone started Michael Thomas, and you were thankful if you started Michael Thomas and didn't leave him on your bench. I don't think you can ever leave Michael Thomas on your bench unless he's injured. I think that's the only chance that you do that.
Yep, I agree, especially we saw the amount of targets that he got last week. Look, whether they get up early or not, to get up early, they have to score points. They have to throw the ball, and that's going to be through Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas may get 0 points in the second half, but if he gets 20 in the first half, you don't care.
I know it's a little late in the year to be saying start your studs and use that as reasoning to start a guy, but it's Michael Thomas. Start your studs. Play Michael Thomas.
Yep.
Brian Hill or David Montgomery? I know what you guys are going to say, but I'm going to go with Brian Hill. I am going with Brian Hill. I have Dave Montgomery at 20. I have Brian Hill at 18. I've been burned by Dave Montgomery so many times. I don't care what the matchup is tonight. Brian Hill has an equally great matchup, and I think Brian Hill is more likely to take advantage of his matchup than David Montgomery.
You cannot get more touches per game than David Montgomery.
Okay, I think it's going to be I think if you looked at the 2 guys today, let's say they get equal touches, right? Let's say they get equal touches. There's equal opportunity for both of them tonight.
I still like the Packers going up against the Packers more than I like going up against the Raiders. I mean, I do. David Montgomery is the guy that I'm going to go with. He gets tons of touches. I think this week that the offensive line there for the Bears with a bad Green Bay Packers run defense, I think they're going to give him just a little bit more room, and I think David Montgomery is going to explode with it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that happen, Lucas. But with David Montgomery, I'm not sure that's what we're going to see. I don't think David Montgomery's a boom. I think Brian Hill could boom. I think you're looking at the very I don't know what I'm trying to consistent call that we always have. I'm just gonna say 7 times in a row. The thing that we have every single week in fantasy, where do you want the guy who has the higher ceiling or do you want the guy who has the higher floor? Right now, I think David Montgomery has the higher floor. I think Brian Hill has the higher ceiling. David Montgomery will get you 10 to 15 points. He could even sprout for a 20-point game. Brian Hill could have a 25-point game. He's probably on par with where Todd Gurley is, just a little bit below him. And Todd Gurley has gone 25 points before, and in this matchup, he would dominate. So that's why I'm thinking I'll lean Brian Hill. I like the ceiling there, but David Montgomery's a fine play also.
All right, let's really move rapid fire because we do have a ton of questions. So no Jack taking 2 minutes to explain your reasoning for stuff. We just got to move.
Okay.
Mostert or Godwin, non-PPR? Going Mostert.
Mostert, non-PPR.
Mostert.
Pick 2 running backs, Montgomery, James White, Rojo, Edmonds. I'll go Montgomery and Rojo.
I'm going to go Monty and Edmonds.
Oh, I'll go Monty and James White if it's PPR.
Yeah, mine is assuming PPR. If it's standard, it's Monty and Rojo all the way.
Agreed. Yep.
A.J. Brown or Antonio Brown? I'll go A.J. Brown. Another scary, but A.J. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
No question.
Gio Bernard or Jordan Wilkins PPR? Gio.
Gio.
Pick 1 standard flex, Melvin Gordon, Matt Breida, Frank Gore, Debo, or Tyler Boyd. I'll go Gordon.
Yeah, I'll go Gordon.
I'll go Gordon, but I'm strongly inclined to go Boyd, but I'll still go Gordon.
In standard?
No.
I still think so. Yeah, Tyler Boyd, the yardage is there. The end zone potential's there.
Don't listen to Jack. Don't listen to Jack.
Quarterback is not there. All right, moving on. Gesicki or Hurst? I'll go Hurst.
Yeah, you got to stick with Hurst.
Yeah.
Pick 2. Monty. Oh, we did that one. Justin Jefferson or Michael Thomas?
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas. You also missed one. Pick 3. Chenault, Boyd, Myers, Fulgham, Mike Williams. Half PPR.
So you're I think you're sitting Fulgham and you're sitting Chenault. I think, yeah.
Boyd, Myers, Williams.
We answered that one earlier. That's why I skipped it. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Aaron Rodgers or Fitzmagic? I'll go with Rodgers.
Rodgers.
Well, it's a tough defense, but you got to start your studs.
Wayne Gallman, Ronald Jones, David Montgomery, Michael Pittman, Jordan Wilkins need one running back, one flex. I'll go with Gallman and Ronald Jones.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I'll agree.
Pittman. Okay. Who would you start? Mostert, Bernard, or Brian Hill in non-PPR? I'll go with Brian Hill. Mostert has a really tough matchup today, and he's come back off that injury.
Yeah, I'll go with Hill.
Anyone starting Matt Breida? People might be. There's a good chance that people are with the Jets matchup and him being one of the few men left standing. Why not?
He's an RB2 this week. I've got him at RB2.
Rieger, Fulgham, or Higgins. I don't know if that's Rashard Higgins or T. Higgins. Let's assume T. Higgins on this one.
Either way, I'm going
to go Rieger. I think Rieger's the best Philadelphia wide receiver right now to own.
Yeah,
I'm going to go Fulgham. I still think Fulgham's the best Philadelphia wide receiver to own. His target share is there. It's just the connection isn't. He's gotten 5 targets, 7 targets the last couple games. And, I mean, you get in the end zone with that, and you're good. You're going up against the Seahawks. I think Fulgham is still the guy to have.
All righty. Next question here. Brian Hill, Fournette, or Hines? Brian Hill.
Yep.
Ooh, Hines is kind of a scary player. Standard? Sorry. Yeah, we're going Brian Hill.
Flex PPR, Cole Beasley, Sterling Shepard, Michael Pittman, Cole Beasley.
I'm going Sterling Shepard on that one. Sterling Shepard's been way too good.
With John Brown out, Cole Beasley was consistently really good with John Brown out.
Cole Beasley. All right,
fine.
Oh, geez. The whole chat just reset for me. All right, let's just start. I'm starting at a random spot. Zach Moss or Travis Fulgham for my flex. I'll go with Moss. It seems like Moss is the better running back to own than Singletary there, and I like the running backs in the flex.
I don't trust anybody in that backfield. I'll go with Travis Fulgham. While the production's not been there, and we still like Rieger more, I like the target numbers. He's going to get touches.
I don't trust anyone anymore.
I'm actually going to go with I'm going to agree with Jack on that one. I'm going to go Fulgham. I don't like either of them, if I'm going to be honest. But Fulgham's got a great matchup, and the target numbers are still solid. Carson Wentz is just not throwing the ball near him.
Mostert, Landry, or Ingram at the flex. I'll go Mostert.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Gallman or Parker full PPR flex. Go Gallman.
Ooh, I'll go Gallman on this one just because I like the guaranteed touches, but Parker's one of my booms this week. With Fitz there, I think he is high.
Okay, Fitzmagic and Devontae Parker did not have much chemistry whenever they played. In fact, I dropped Parker a few spots when I saw that Tua was out. Tua and Parker have been building a chemistry. Fitzmagic and Parker don't really have one.
I have Gallman as my RB14 this week.
Wow.
Just throwing it out there, from weeks 2 to 5, Parker went 16, 11, 21, 13 fantasy points. Chemistry is kind of there.
All right. We have time for a few more questions. News on Ekeler. He is playing today. He is going to be playing with Balaj most likely out. So take that as you will. I don't know how many touches he's going to get. I think if he's healthy, 15 is a very good number to go based off of. And I think he's going to be out there to get the touches. I think he's still startable. I think he's a very startable running back this week.
Absolutely.
Herbert or Kyler Murray? Great problem to have. Kyler Murray, even though I'm in love with Justin Herbert. Frank Gore or Gio Bernard? It's Gio.
Gio.
Would you start Mostert, Gallman, or Bernard in half PPR? I'd go Gallman.
Yep.
Brian Hill or Ekeler? I have Ekeler still a few spots ahead of Brian Hill.
Ekeler.
Finally, pay off that you kept Ekeler for so long. This is
right?
This week.
Yep.
And it's the most important time to have him.
Yep.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Philip Lindsay? It's Clyde.
No, I'm going to go Lindsey just because of the possibility there with all the touches that I think Lindsey will get there without really much of a quarterback. I think 30 touches for both Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay is not out of the question, which is why I'm going to go Lindsey. Clyde's got a tough matchup.
Really tough matchup. Tampa Bay's run defense is one of the best. I think Kansas City's going to be airing the ball out this entire game. I get where you're coming from. Clyde had a huge game last week. I still think the answer here is Phillip Lindsay.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Last question here. Tanyan or Goddard? It's Goddard.
No question.
That's going to do it for us here on YouTube. Thank you all for asking all of your questions. If we didn't get to your questions, you can download it right now. Locker Room app available on the App Store. We're going live right over there for half an hour. You can bring all your questions. You can talk to us like we're talking to each other right now. You can hop on the stage with us and ask us all the questions that you have. Starts it for the week. But for the chemist Jack McGrath, Spitfire Lucas Parrish, I'm the king of Trade Chain Palma. Good luck, everyone, this week.